Okay, we are recording. So before I have our dear friend Allie talk today, because I think she's just going to do such a great job, and she's just one of my favorite coaches to follow. She inspires me every day. So, but before we get to that, I just wanted to take a quick second to go over a couple of quick announcements. But also, first of all, just to welcome a few brand new coaches to the team. And some of them may be jumping on here late, but Jessica Mitchell is my brand new coach who is in South Carolina evacuating as we speak from the hurricane. So she will not, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Dang it. How do I get back? Hang on, guys. Oh, there you are. Okay. Anyways, so she is evacuating, and she was so excited to be on this call, but that's not going to happen. She'll catch the recording when she has time. But we have Jamie Herrera, Mandy Aguirre, and Pam Fowler. These are coaches who are discount coaches that have decided to take the plunge with us. So they'll probably be catching the recording as well, being it's their first one. But I wanted to welcome them all officially on our team call because we only do this once a month. And we had a great month of August. I don't know about you all, but I thought it was the hardest month in this business to date. I don't know what the deal was, but it was, 4.5 years in, and this was the hardest month. So props to all you guys who got on the board and helped somebody, because as a team, we still helped 18 people in that month. So, hey, I am chalking that up to a win. So the other, the promotions for the month, there wasn't a whole lot on the Diamond Insider, but for September, Meltdown 100 challenge packs are still $20 off. So we have one more month with that promotion, as well as if you have used any of your promo codes last month, you gained those again. So hopefully you guys got a few of those yet to use. And then pumpkin spice we just talked about is on sale. $74, well, that's full price for the 14 packet box, and it's 56 PV. So I always like to say, get in bed. Oh dear. Okay, just leave it. It's fine. Okay, guys, seriously, you can't interrupt again. Good night. Love you. Pumpkin spice. Okay. Make sure that you are talking to, at least reaching out to all of your challengers and discount coaches and promoting the fact that this is a limited time. And if they ever want to try it, now is the best time. Just do it, bite the bullet, get it ordered. Let's produce some big team volume with this. Just like any other promotion, any other new product launch, we need to promote it and get everybody trying it and falling in love with it so that they get it the next time, right? Okay, so there's my spiel. The last thing is, for the month of September, I'm doing a new coach training. It's the same group that I have that we can add people to, but I have asked and teamed up with 3 other rock star coaches, and I asked them to help with that. So every Monday we're going to do a Zoom call, and as long as we can get a few people on, otherwise we may just go live in the group and take turns once a week in there, and just kind of hear from other coaches and try to get our coaches started out right. And it'll all be saved and archived in that group in units, so it is there and made and ready for everybody as you add people. So it's going to benefit all of us. All right, so there's that. And so I just want to jump right over to Allie. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, and then have the floor, sister.
Okay, so Allie Stough, and I've been a coach for, gosh, I guess it's probably close to 6 years now, but the last 2 years have been consumed with managing my bear. So if you guys don't know, I was in Chris Downing's test group, and that is how we met when the original Shift Shop launched. And during that time, there's a funny story there, but I'm not going to share it with you guys. We're tight on time. But I will say this, I never miss a Super Saturday, and I missed his announcement. I was moving from Colorado to Maryland, prepping to move. And so my friends in Colorado had like a going away party for me. And it was the first Super Saturday I'd ever missed. So when corporate reached out to me and they said, I know you're moving, but would you be interested in doing the test group? You got a lot going on with life right now. And I said, bring it on, whoever this person happened. So what was funny is in that time, I actually, during the test group, was moving cross country and lived in a hotel for 35 days. I ate the meal plan out of a white styrofoam cooler that I got at a 7-Eleven. And there was something about that I think he just kind of looked at me and was like, she's a little bit crazy. Like he was like, he called me and he was like, Allie, I want you, like, you're driving cross country and you did speed 25 at a rest stop on the side of the highway. And I was like, well, yeah, I said I would. Like, isn't that what I signed on the paper, that I would do the thing? And he was like, but people are like not following through at home in their own kitchens, and you're like doing this thing. And I was like, well, I said I would. And that like blew his mind. And he was just kind of like, you're staying with me. And I was like, okay, like, okay, let's do this. So these last 2 years have really been so much about working with him. And I joke because he was like, I want you to be like my right arm, my assistant. And I was like, I don't really know that I don't know how to be somebody's assistant. I have a background in teaching. Before I was coaching, I was a teacher for many years. My master's degree is to be a principal. So everything was education, and I know nothing about business, but we have managed to grow a pretty cool business and expand his brand in the last 2 years. And one of the things that we created together was his personal development program, The Power of I Am, which is probably what led me to all of you tonight. Because when Stacy reached out, she said, I want you to talk to my team about personal development. And I was like, yes, I got super excited. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. And hopefully this helps. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to hold you guys up here, but I am totally accessible. So if you need something personally, if you have questions or whatever, you can always find me. So keep that in mind, and please do that. So personal development. I don't know where you all are in your business, but I will tell you that when I started years ago, and it was one of, back in the day, the 3 vital behaviors is what it was back then. It was one of those. And when my uplines spoke about it, I felt like it was these giant textbooks. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't have time for that. Like, I have 2 kids and like, there's life, and you want me to read what? Like, okay. Like, I was like, I'm really nailing these 2 vital behaviors, but that 3rd one, like, who has time for this? Like, I was just like, I haven't even read a Nicholas Sparks book since my honeymoon, and that was a long time ago. Like, so I was just like, I'm never going to be able to do this. And if there's anything I want you guys to get from this call, it is the understanding that personal development is broad. It's not just a book. And the example set forth to me, and I sort of took that and ran with it. But I was like, I don't have time to do this. Like, I'm missing a vital behavior because, or I would set it on my nightstand, and like, I'd get the kids in bed. And if any of you are moms, I know you get this, right? I'd get it like, I'm going to read 10 minutes before bed. Well, 2.5 minutes. And I was like, and every day I was like, I failed again. Like, this is not working. I'm supposed to be personally developing, and every day I feel like I'm failing, right? And it was in that moment that I was like, whoa, listen to those words. Personal development. Personal development. What is personally developing me? And when I broke it down like that, I was like, it doesn't have to be this book. Like, I can give it up. Like, I can give up this idea that I'm going to, there's like the Pinterest mom and the mom that makes the perfect lunches and whatever. And I was like, I'm not going to be the coach that reads the perfect book. Like, I'm not going to be her. Like, it doesn't work for me. I've got to find something that personally develops me. The name itself says it. So that's the one thing I want you guys to know as I kind of buzz through this tonight. Know that anything is personal development if it is personally developing you. Okay. So my first step away from that mold that I felt was like so anchoring me to failure was still a book. It just wasn't the ones my uplines were throwing my way. And I have this whole pile of stuff I grabbed here to show you guys what personal development looks like for me. Because the other thing they said was, Allie, get it all on audio. Get it all on audio. And I'm like, first of all, we're in a walking neighborhood. Like, I don't even get in the car. The kids walk to school. Like, I was like, so there's that. Like, I don't have a job otherwise anymore. I coach. So like, my biggest run is to Target. And honestly, if the kids aren't with me, I want to listen to something other than like Raffi or whatever they were listening to at the time, some kid's song. I was like, I don't want to listen to a book. I'm only in the car for 3 minutes. Like, this isn't going to work, and that wasn't working for me either. So, but if I can do something with my kids, it's a win-win for me. And so the very first book that I stepped into that I always still recommend to so many people, one, because it's an easy read, and two, it doesn't feel like a textbook, is The Energy Bus. Has anybody read that? John Gordon's Energy Bus? Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay. So Energy Bus is, John Gordon is the author, and it's a story. Okay. It's not like, here are the steps to conquering your business. Like, you know what I mean? It's literally a story about people that come into your life and they can affect your energy. Her name is Joy. And like, it talks about like the people in your life who he refers to as energy vampires. I'm telling you all that to say this. There is a kids version. Right now, one of my downline coaches has my actual Energy Bus book, but there is an Energy Bus for kids. And that is why I bit the bullet on it, because this is such a good lesson for kids. So while I read it myself, my kids read this, and I was able to like take that time and say like, Mom's going to read a little bit and you're going to read a little bit, and they parallel each other very much. So it was a great lesson. It says right here, a story about staying positive and overcoming challenges, which who doesn't need that? And so, I held myself accountable because I was doing something with them. So that was sort of my first step in like figuring out what personal development was for me. One of the next things I struggled with in terms of coaching was even the wake up call. I was like, I missed it. I'm 10 minutes in. Like, why are there so many people getting announced this week? Like, by the time Sandy was done saying names, I had like tapped out of the call. Like, it was a struggle for me doing that too. And just finding the time to sit and listen. So my team still laughs about this. To this day, the wake up calls play while I shower. They call it my think tank. I have Bluetooth speakers in 3 different places in my house. So I just literally plug in wherever I am. And I can remember the first time I did it, I ran into my kid's bathroom, and my daughter, she was tiny still, had bathtub crayons. Like the kind where you can like, they're soap, but like you can, yeah. And I took them and I ran, because I knew I had like 20 minutes. I had to be showered. I hadn't listened to the wake up call yet. And I needed to know. And I literally took her bath crayons and I ran in there. And while I was taking a shower, I was taking notes. It was Tulin Emery was the speaker. I was taking notes all over the shower wall. And like, it was the most mind-blowing thing. And I remember like when I got out, like sending pictures to my success partner, and I was like, we need to talk about this. My husband came home and he was like, this looks like prison walls where people go crazy. And like, but that is, it's just one of those things that, again, like I always tell people, it doesn't have to be this traditional, like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to read quietly for 10 minutes. As a mom, And now as somebody who's managing a celebrity trainer's business, like I just don't get that traditional block of time to do that. I will tell you, I have graduated from the bathtub soap. And I want to show you a couple things that I use, because on the days when I can't take in information for personal development, I still put out information. And so what I mean by that is a lot of positive affirmations, right? A lot of I am statements. So I have to start my day with those things, with gratitude or whatever. So even if I know, like, man, I'm not going to have any time to bring in something new, whether it's a podcast or, a book or whatever, I still take that time to kind of collect myself and put that information out. I buy these for my team all the time. I put them in their goodie bags when we do retreats. And while we're all together, they all have to do this. But Crayola actually makes window markers. And so I'll have them write on their mirrors, their positive affirmations. I've shared stories. My daughter recently turned 7, but she's watched me do this for years now in her bathroom mirror. She keeps them. And it was so cute because last year she was in first grade and she had this thing, my goal for today, it said GOWL. And like, I couldn't even fix it. I was like, it's so cute that we're goal setting at age 6 on our mirrors. Like, it was like, my goal is to be kind and a good friend. Like, what I mean? It was just so cute. And seeing how that has impacted her. She comes down to my gym and there's a mix of quick workouts or times or reps or whatever I'm physically working on in one mirror, and in the other are my positive affirmations, are quotes that I've heard or something that's going to inspire me. Here's my other box. They make window crayons, and these actually show up a lot more vividly on a mirror than these are a little more transparent. But I do, every day there's something up there. And even the times that Chris has been here, last time he was here for 5 days, and, I had to force him to get down there. And he was like, he's like, I can't get over this. You literally, it's everywhere. You can't not feel this when you're in here. I'm like, that's the point. And I was like, but why does that surprise you? Because if any of you have seen pictures of his gyms, his are painted on the wall. Give birth to the greatness that lies within you. The things you guys are used to hearing him say, I'm like, same thing, different concept, right? So, that's another way for me that I see personal development. I pushed him. We had hoped, I don't know what your routine is like, but for me, when I get up in the morning, it's, I mix my Energize, right? And while I drink it, tie my shoes, I want to hear something, right? And I'm always digging for something to motivate me. And I said to him, I wish, just like Autumn has 8-minute fixate videos, I wish they would let Chris have 5 minutes of PD. I would just turn it on and listen, But to replace that, I use Spotify. So this is another way that I get a lot of PD. If you don't have the Spotify app, I highly recommend it. There is a station called Fearless Motivation. Has anybody listened? No? Yes? You're going to love it. You're going to love it. They recently changed it where they put a little bit more music in, which they didn't really have before, but it's a lot of, maybe 2.5 to 5 minute motivational snippets, just in and I'm talking that 5 minutes where I'm throwing back the mom juice, tying my shoes, getting in the zone. If you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, when you see those posts where suddenly I'm just spilling out whatever, it has come from there. I have heard something that literally gut punched me, and I have to give back my version of that, speak to that somebody. So that's a really great one. That's another quick, do you know what I mean? Just a few minutes you can get in that completely changes your mindset, that personally develops you. I love, love, love journaling of all kinds. That's a big thing for me. And it's, again, another thing where I was anchored to this. Journaling is something I feel like I put out, you know what I mean? Like, and so that was another way that I was like, man, I'm not like kind of fitting this mold, but it's very therapeutic for me. I recently got this one here. Somebody got this for me for my birthday, and it is hilarious. Like just the very first page, I was like just cracking up at the stuff it said. But it was like the other day there was this whole page on sage and its healing properties, and I've never saged anything before, I'm going to be honest, but essentially it's like, walk through your house, pass through doorways that, places that feel stressful where you run down the hall. And then it was like, does it work? We have no clue, but your house smells great. Like, and I was just like, that's hilarious. It was just so cute. But there's a lot of pages, like, the one page it said, you find it, I kind of had to giggle at it, because it's like, make a list of, where is it? We all have bad days. Make a list of things that bothered you today. And then the next thing it says, cross that list out and tell it to F off. Like, I was like, well, that was therapeutic. I mean, it was just like, wow, and then it was like, instead, make another list of what was great about your day. And I was like, that's it right there. There's your mindset. You know what I mean? Like, forget the other stuff, focus on the good. So I love journals. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these two, but I had tickets to their live event, and I completely consider this PD. Anybody follow Cat and Nat? You know who they are? Cat and Nat? Yeah. So this book, most people would probably not see it as personal development, or at least the stereotypical cookie cutter personal development, right? But if you don't know them, these are two moms that are like social media famous, but they just always share the truth about life. So those days where you're like, I'm totally failing we did that, and we did it like 5 days in a row, and you're like, okay, I'm doing okay. Like, I didn't leave my kid in a grocery store. Like, I didn't, what I mean? So this was a fun one for me, and it truly did just kind of ground me again and sort of say, okay, like, you're handling this thing. It just made me more well-rounded. And again, this all comes back to the idea that personal development, it as long as it's personally developing you, that's what it's all about, We're almost at 9:30. One more book I want to share. And this one is a legit PD book. This book was recommended to me by Doug Moss. Back when I lived in Colorado, I used to do a ton of work with him at corporate. And he was like, Al, your brain, the way the teacher in you, the way it works, you are going to love this book. And this is like a textbook. Those books where you like read a page and then you realize you weren't paying attention at all and you absorb nothing and you have to go back and read it again. That was this one. It truly took me a while to get through. And what I had to do was I would read, and then I would take a page of notes, and then read one more page and take a page of notes. It was a long process. This book is about essentially studying the psychology behind persuasion. And I want to share one quick thing with you, and then I'll let you guys go because I don't want to take up your time. But I was reading this book around the time when 80-Day Obsession came out. Was anybody coaching when that came out? You guys coaches then? Okay. My team was terrified of those kits. Like, literally, we went from me trying to say to them, like, okay, guys, don't be afraid to sell a challenge pack. You don't just have to offer bod. Like, don't assume people are going to say no, to both things, right? And then all of a sudden they were like, this package is $480. And they were like, no way. There's no way we're selling that. Well, there's a whole section in this book of various studies that they did all about comparison. And so just a couple quick examples. It was all about your perception is based on what you recently experienced. Okay. So for example, they had 3 buckets of water, a hot one, a cold one, room temperature. So if you put your hand in the hot water and then put it in the room temperature water, this is going to feel cold because your hand was just so hot, right? Does that make sense? Like when you step in a hot tub in the winter, it feels extra hot. Put their hand in the cold water, and in the same room temperature, now it feels warm, right? Even though this temperature never changed, your body's reacting to what it experienced previously, right? It's all this previous experience. So that was like one study they talked about. They talked about a suit shop, a shop who sold men's suits. And they were saying how they got their retail to be so high, and they were asking them how they did that. And they said, well, most men come in here if they're buying a suit and tie, and it's all based around the tie, right? My wife sent me in here. She's got a purple dress and I need to match this with a purple tie or whatever, right? So they come in focused on choosing this tie, and the suit, we'll figure it out later, right? Ties a whole lot more expensive after the suit, because the suit was so expensive that they didn't care about the price of the tie after that, right? They were like defeated at that point. Well, I just spent X amount of dollars on a suit. What's $100 tie going to be? But when they started with the tie, the guys weren't wanting to spend over $30, right? It was all based on what their previous thing was. Another study was a man who sold houses, and he intentionally got a house on the market that was not so great. And so then what he would do is find these people's price point, and he would always take them and show them this really crappy house. And then he would show them just out of their price range, and they always would go for that house because they thought, if I don't have this, my option is this. And he was always upselling things because of that. It's all based on this perception of comparison, right? And so I was trying to teach my team this and relating it to the coaching business. And so I challenged them. I said, I'm not going to force you to jump from a $160 challenge pack to a $480 deluxe base triple supreme slider kit, right? Like, I'm not going to do that. But Kickstart challenge pack. So 3-day refresh, Shakeology, Beachbody on Demand. And I said, but you have to start there. So when somebody comes to you and you ask them what they're looking for and what their goals are and their needs are, you offer them this. You say, it's helpful to start our clients. A lot of them really enjoy the 3-day refresh. It's a quick way to clean out the bloat. It gets them immediate results, sort of resets their system. It's a good thing to do during prep week of our challenge group. And then we move into the program, Shakeology and whatever. Okay, what's this cost? $180. One of two things happen. They say yes, or the next thing we have to offer is the challenge pack, right? That's your Beachbody on Demand and Shakeology. People don't usually like to say no twice. And if you're offering them something less, now this sounds better based on what you just offered, and they're selling challenge packs. All right. I had no one sell Just Bod or Shakeology that month. They all either sold Kickstarts or challenge packs. Some of my newer coaches who had never sold a challenge pack, they were so afraid to offer at that price point, realized that. So then once they figured that out, when Autumn's program came around, they were all starting at that $400 price point. And if people said no to that, they kept working their way down instead of working their way up, right? Which is overwhelming to people. And almost all of them were selling the $270-some challenge pack. That's what they sold that month. It's just crazy. We all know those products get results, right? But it was what they were offering. It was the order that they were doing it was all it came of, right? And last but not least, obviously the one I helped develop. If you guys don't know about the personal development that Chris and I do, the Power of I Am, has anybody done it? Okay. So funny story on that. Chris was telling me 2 years ago when we started, he called, he said, I feel like we need something. He said, I've got these ideas in my head. I, of course, busy mom, had just walked in the house, 2 kids and a bunch of bags from Target. I grabbed the receipt, flipped it over, said, talk to me, Bear. He spit out these ideas. I wrote them on the back of the shopping receipt. And I said, just give me a little time. Like, I don't know what to do with this. We had never even had a conversation like this. Everything was about shift shop and challenge groups and fitness, right? But he was talking about something different. He just kept talking about mindset, right? And, inside work. And so I did the only thing I knew how to do, because I was a former teacher. I created a 6-week course syllabus, and that became the power of I am. And so 6 weeks turned into 9. 2 years later, 9 weeks turned into 10. Shifting your mindset personally and your business. And it's truly been such a game changer. And I don't say that simply because I took such a big part in developing it, but because I've seen changes in people's business, changes in people's personal life. It blows my mind. I almost feel not qualified, not worthy of the stories that people share about how some of them have gone through years of professional therapy. And whether it's because Chris is just real and raw, and he has such, if you guys don't know his story, he was molested twice, didn't really have either parent, was then put up for adoption. Nothing was handed easy to him. We have nothing in common when it comes to that. Like, our stories are not the same. And the way he's able to deliver his story and the growth that he's made, it really impacts people. So that is hands down where my personal development sits now. It's so crazy that it's come full circle, that the thing that I struggled with the most is the thing that I get to pour into the most. Do I have a couple? I see 6 minutes. Stacy, do I have a couple at the end?
Yes.
Hey, loser.
Can you hear me? You guys are frozen.
Yeah, good. Okay. I can now. Yeah. Oh, they're moving on my end, but you're frozen. Are you guys okay for a couple of minutes if I share something super quick? Okay.
Yes.
So just real quick, one of the things that played into this, when people say to me, should I do this? Yes or no? I always share this story with them. And if I have the time, I usually teach it, but I'll just share the story with you guys. And I always say, if this impacts you, then you need to do this program with us. My son is super, super smart. He's 10. He's such a rare breed. Takes a lot of pride in his work. He came home from school last year, and in his folder was a paper that was wrinkled. And I was shocked, because I'm like, what happened there? What happened at school today that he would damage something he worked so hard on? And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to let him talk to me about it. I'm not, I'm just going to give him a little time. And a day went by and he said nothing. When he came back the next day and it was still in his folder, I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask him. So I said, Mace, I looked in your folder and there's this paper, and tell me what happened, buddy, because this is just so unlike you, He lit up where I expected him to be like, I messed up on something, Mom. And, I got upset. He was so excited to tell me this story. And like I said, I'll keep it short. I can see it ticking away. But essentially, it was a lesson they taught them in class. And what they asked them to do was draw a picture of themselves in the center of the page. And when I do this with teens or adults, I always just tell them, write your name in the center of the page. Of any negative self-talk, right? And when you think about the things you say to yourself, each time you think of something, say it into your paper and wrinkle your paper, right? So I'm not strong enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not capable of growing my business, right? All these things we say to ourselves. I don't look like that coach. I don't, this or that. I'm not 10-star, whatever. Wrinkle it into your apologize to yourself. And when you do, smooth your paper out. So they had to go through and apologize to themselves and smooth their paper out. And they said, what do you notice about your paper? They said, it's still wrinkled. And so I knew where he was going with this. So I said to him, what'd you learn about that, buddy? He said, no matter how much we apologize to ourselves, we'll never smooth out the wrinkles. It's never going to go back to what it was before. And so being the mom, the teacher, I said to him, how can we apply that to other people and words we use to other people? Because, and he just said, it'll never go back. Like you can never undo that. And I had to have such a gut check with myself about the quick things I do, right? Walk past the mirror in the morning and, it'll do, right? Loud. What kind of an example am I setting for them? And so I keep this obviously with me. I take it with me. Like everybody who works with me knows this story, but I always say, if I told you that story and that was a gut punch to you, you need to do the power of I am. Because that's what it is. It's really like calling you on those moments and helping you fix it. Super, super short version of that story. But anyway, kids are so cool. Like you can just learn from anybody, And so, all right, I'm so sorry. I hope that was helpful or what you wanted, or what do you need from me, Stacy? What can I do for you guys?
Oh, it was perfect. I just hope that you can hear me right now because you guys are all frozen and it says we have less than a minute and I don't want it to just hang up on you. But I thank you for this. It was amazing. I took notes and I can't wait to read some of these books and everything.
Perfect. Well, let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys, or if you have questions, or like I said, you can message me.
All right, Allie. Thank you again. Thank you so much and have a great night.
You're welcome. You too.
Thank you.